all the way live right here at WHPR TV. Thank you for tuning in to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. My name is Theo Broughton, co-founder of Hood Research, and my co-host.
The BD, and we welcome you to the program.
And we just want to say today is a beautiful day. What did that guy used to say on TV? A beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Mr. Rogers.
Would you be my neighbor? And don't forget, call in, please. Um, the issues that have been going on all over the community and nationwide. This is the video. I heard Hillary Clinton, and she was getting her jab in to Donald Trump. I think she has a comedian who's writing her script these days, and there's news out that Donald Trump has another book coming, and Hillary Clinton says yes. And did you know that all of his books end in chapter 11?
That's a good one. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
I said, oh, look at Hillary. She doing all right. Anyway, this morning, for anybody who is not aware, there's a press conference on the 12th floor of the Fisher Building, and the press conference is being held by our school board members, and hopefully they will vote no on the proposal that is coming from Judge Rose, who they said was in Puerto Rico trying to make the Puerto Ricans go into bankruptcy. Isn't that special? Just thought you might want to know about that. Uh-huh. Anyway, we do have a call before we get started. It should be Dr. Terrence Dillard on the line.
Hello, caller. Welcome to the program. Can you give us your name? How are you viewing us? What city, please?
This is Dr. Terrence Dillard, City of Detroit. I'm viewing you online.
And thank you so much for calling in. You have an announcement for the good and welfare of our community?
Yes, Theo, good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to share briefly.
You're
There is
welcome.
a networking class, computer networking class that's coming up on July the 9th,
Mm-hmm.
which is on a Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and this course runs from 9:30 a.m. until 1 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
and it will run for a total of 10 weeks, so that will be from July the 9th until September the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
And at the conclusion, students will receive a certificate of completion, and this will prepare them for taking a certification test, which will allow them to earn opportunities or have opportunities where they can earn from $40,000 to $62,000 per year.
The potential income is from $40,000 to $50,000. Is that what I heard?
No, it was from 40,000 to 62,000.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, I don't mean to underpay anybody. Whoa, I stand corrected gladly from 40,000 to 62,000. Dr. Terrence Dillard, who is a member of Hood Research and an expert in IT. The class will begin on the second Saturday of July. Would you give us the location? 9 a.m., by the way. Location.
Yes, the location is the Garden View Estates, and that's located at 16910 Garden View Circle, Detroit, Michigan 48227. And for folks who are interested, they can contact me at area code 248 219 8703.
Okay.
I wanted to ask, when you mentioned the address 96910 Garden View Circle.
So that was 16910.
169.
16,910.
Okay. And are there any major landmarks or cross streets for those who are not familiar with Garden View Circle?
Yes, the main cross streets would be Southfield and Joy Road. And if you are traveling south on Southfield Freeway,
That's that new house.
if you come up at the Joy Road exit, once you come to Joy Road in Southfield, you would make a left-hand turn, and right there on the immediate right
Okay.
is the Garden View Estate.
Okay. That's in the neighborhood where Herman Gardens used to be. Formerly Herman Gardens, I should say. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So now, lastly, want to give the telephone number out once again. Is area code 248 two
Yes,
one
area code.
nine 8703?
That's correct. I'll repeat it one more time. I think I interrupted you there. So the area code is 248
Mm-hmm.
219
Mm-hmm.
8703.
Right, right. Okay. I think that is a fantastic opportunity. One last question for you. Is there any age restriction?
Uh, there is a age restriction. What we look at is primarily it's from the 10th grade and higher.
Okay.
Um, we did have a parent black term that slipped her ninth grader in there, and her ninth graders seem to do very well.
Mm-hmm.
But this course is reserved for 10th graders and higher,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had folks as young as 13 and as old as 70.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds wonderful. And to master the skills and be able to apply for employment that starts at $40,000. Can you imagine a 10th grader? Mm. And
Awesome.
they are good too. It definitely is. It's awesome. You're absolutely right. But I want to thank you so much for that information. And we want to continue to share this with the members of our community so that they can take advantage of it. It just reminds me of Benjamin Davis Aerospace and how the young people at 18 have a pilot's license and can become gainfully employed on that same pay level. We've just got to continue to promote it and encourage more and more to participate in it. And thank you so much for calling to share that.
You're welcome, and thank you once again for this opportunity, and
You're wel-
I wish everyone a blessed day.
All right, you too. Bye now. Mm. You know, we didn't say good morning, and there were so many people I came across this past weekend, and it was just fantastic. Some folks I have not seen in a long time, and there was Adelia and Carolyn, and it was wonderful. I just had a great weekend.
You got an incredible Rolodex, Theo. Take this next call.
Okay, then we go on our guest.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name? How are you viewing us, and what city, please?
Good morning. First of all, I can't barely hear you on the phone, and secondly, I turned you on this morning and the TV went blank.
It's
So
blank right
some
now.
people, yeah, it's a blank screen. So
Can you
yeah.
hear us on
So they're
television?
having technical difficulties. I don't know if it's Comcast, but it's on 91 Comcast and it's blank.
Okay.
It's
Well,
red, blue, and green
we'll
screen.
call 868-6612 so that
Okay.
they can notify
Okay,
Comcast.
and I'll see if y'all online. I'll check that out and call you back.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Anyway, this morning we have as our guest the Detroit Police Commissioner of my district. That's the 7th district.
That's right.
Is Police Commissioner Ricardo Moore, and I've been waiting and waiting for you to come and be our guest so we could.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank
Thank
you
you for
so
having
much.
me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You know, well, first tell us a little bit about who is Ricardo Moore.
Well, I'm a lifelong Detroiter, born and raised here in the city of Detroit, attended Detroit Public Schools, graduating from Detroit Murray Wright in 1989.
Oh yeah.
From Murray Wright, I went on to Western Michigan University. I received my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, minoring in sociology. From there, I went into the United States Army in a reserve component where I received my honorable discharge. I'm a military police as well as a logistics specialist. I joined the Detroit Police Department in 1995. While I was on the police department, I started working on my master's degree. I completed my master's degree in 2001. I've served the federal government through the Bureau of Prisons, through the United States Postal Inspection Service,
Wow.
gathering secret and top secret security clearances, a number of trainings through the state of Michigan, FEMA, federal government. And currently I serve the citizens of Detroit as police commissioner, as well as serving the citizens of Southfield in their public school system as a paraprofessional working with special needs students.
Wow.
Nice resume.
Yes,
sir.
absolutely. And we need to clone you. We need as many of you as we could get around here. We have so many issues, and you even we're in the social work and just so many things we have to face and analyze and work towards. Even this morning at 9:30, there is a press conference on the 12th floor Fisher Building, and our school board is having the press conference to talk about the bill that was passed in Lansing.
Right.
And then the he calls himself interim manager. Judge Rose is the emergency manager, but whatever he calls himself. And he wants the school board to turn over all of our equipment, okay? Our buildings. Taxpayers pay every year, it seems like every day, to own those assets. They do not belong to the state, but he wants them turned over. And hopefully the school board will not sign that. And they're going to have a brief meeting after the press conference. So we're waiting with bated breath to hear, and I'm hoping that Richard Harrison will call in. He's going down for the press conference, and he'll be able to share with us some of the details. But in the meantime, one, how do you feel about the Detroit Public School System having its own police department?
Well, they've had their police department for a number of years. I think from a strategy point of view, it would be good if it was more so combined with the Detroit Police Department. I like Chief Bracken, Stacy Brackens. He was my commander at the 8th Precinct.
Okay.
Very competent, knowledgeable individual as far as the community is concerned. He lives in District 7 as well.
Oh, okay.
I know that's like a power grab when you start talking about the Detroit police merging, in essence, to
Yes.
Detroit Public Schools.
With it.
Yeah, but they should be more accountable to the students. That's what it boils down to. If you do have your own police force, you should be more accountable to the students, staff, and teachers that are there.
Parents and the right. Well, it seems to me that it's preparation for the students who are on the pipeline to prison.
Right.
You know, you go and just get ready. I mean, you see that uniformed and it is just a bad image as far as I'm concerned. And I do understand that the students, some of them have issues. I understand that, but there is a better way.
It is, and either we can pay up front or we can pay at the end. And I choose to pay up front because I think it's a little bit cheaper. The financial resources that we get need to be placed on those students in the early grades and on their families, whether it's social work or what have you, because people do have issues, whether it's mental health issues, whether it's financial issues, and we have to address those issues early on so that the children can be successful.
Well, not only that, it seems to me that part of the reason that our children are acting out more now is because what you would call the electives have slowly been removed. Every child is not adequately equipped to go to college. Every child is not financially equipped to go to college. And quite frankly, all of them just don't want to go.
True.
You know, so to keep promoting college as if 100% of the student body wants to go is just a flat out lie. So the schools in years past have had classes such as the welding and the plumbing and the carpentry and the home economics and clothing construction. Cass Technical High School had welding. Some folks look at me like, what? Yeah, Cass Technical High School had welding. As Hassan Alim Damar, he was in it.
Right.
And a friend of mine took clothing construction. But those kinds of classes, in addition to the music and the sports, are many of the classes that keep a student in the building.
and focused on
Yes.
something other than trouble.
That's
Right.
exactly. And they just can't wait until English is over so they can go to
Wood
music
shop
or
or right.
yeah.
Right.
And so those things being removed have since caused some turmoil in the student who's just not going to focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic all day, every day.
Yeah, academics is not certainly not everything, and we need a balance. I guess they even say that we have the right and left mind. So one aspect is creative, while the other one may be more intellectual pursuits. But if you don't have the balance between the intellectual pursuits as well as the creativity, I get tired of reading, and I love reading. But you need those outlets. One of the things, and maybe you can address this, in a general sense. I was listening to a young lady who's running for, she's in another county, but she's running for judge, and she was saying how in her interactions with police departments and prison systems that many of the prison systems, correctional institutions, etc., would be better benefited, I guess, if they had programs within the correctional institutions. They've taken away the education for the most part. They've taken away, like what Theo's saying, anything that allows you some vocational training. So all they're doing is basically warehousing individuals who will return to the communities they came from with no skills educationally or otherwise, and then they're left to either return to the life that they had or depend upon family or friends. So because you work with, and I like it too as well, the fact that you say you work with special needs children, and we talk about pipeline in prison, how do you see the school system in terms of the lack of vocational outlets, and then the prison system having the same thing? It seems like it's all collectively working against the individual.
What the main thing they will say, whether it's with the police department, whether it's with education, is money. Oh, we only have this amount of money, so therefore they prioritize. Wherever they prioritize in the budget is where what they care about. So when we start looking at where they're putting money at, they're putting money in administrative staffs, in the hierarchy of an organization, as opposed to putting it on the front line with the student, with the prisoner, with the educational resources. So when we start looking at our leadership, elected and appointed leadership, we have to start holding them accountable, make sure that they do that budget right, because they are only given a certain amount of money. And with that certain amount of money, they should be serving the front line of the organization. Whether if it's a prison, they should be serving prisoners. They should be helping the prisoners and giving them a real chance, not just fluff. Give them a real chance to come back out here and get a job so that they won't go back into prison. And we have to do it with passion and with humility.
Right.
But it has to be done.
I'm glad you mentioned that about prisoners coming back in the community and their needs, because I just learned a few weeks ago one of their needs is identification.
Right.
As crazy as that sounds, we have the Secretary of State who has the responsibility to issue state ID, driver's license, etc. And prisoners come out and don't have legitimate ID. They have some card that they carry around that indicates
But
they are a
who's working on
prisoner.
that?
That's stupid.
Councilwoman Lopez in Southwest Detroit, she came up with an initiative, I believe, with Chief of Staff Alexis Wiley, the mayor's chief of staff, and they are getting those IDs for the returning citizens and for anyone else that might not have it. So they are working. They did recognize the need, and they have worked in that area for that. I wish I had a number to give out so that citizens could have it, but you can call me and I can get that number. My number is 313-215-0398. Ricardo Moore, 313-215-0398. I can get that information, Theo. if
Oh,
anyone has
that's
it.
good. Because there's a location at 2424 West Grand Boulevard where they can go for that same assistance, and they also have a clothes closet and some other, resources for returning citizens. As our police commissioner, there was a time when the powers of the police commission were interrupted.
Right.
And I always thought that was intentional. Someone didn't like the idea of you having oversight of the Detroit Police Department.
Right.
But your powers, all the powers have been restored. Can
All
you?
the powers have been restored. Kevin Orr, someone whispered in Kevin's Orr ear saying, hey, we believe that the police department doesn't need a board of police commissioners. Let's go from emergency manager order number 11 and put it on hydro. And they came up with emergency manager order number 42. With that, they said city council at a certain time can give those board members back their power. What I've learned, Theo, people don't care about violating the city charter. They're violated just wide open. They don't care. When someone such as myself or the co-founder of Hood Research, Reggie Crawford, or even a Willie Bell, we'll speak up to say certain things, and we appear to be anti-police, but all three of us are former police, so we're not anti-police. We're pro-transparency and pro-accountability.
Right.
And that's what those types like to call us. Oh, they're anti-police. We're not anti-police. We've been in the system. We know what it should look like. So with Emergency Manager 42, it allowed folks to promote without board approval. It allowed for a budget to be passed without board approval. And we've learned that there are multiple hundreds of appointees within the police department, between 400 and 500 that came out of emergency management. We don't even know.
Wow.
They've taken positions and,
Yeah.
you know, and of course, a lot of citizens say, well, the chief is successful. And in some people's eyes, you know, he might be successful, but if you like the chief, you have to love the board because we do provide that check and balance.
All
to the
right.
chief. So it's not that we dislike the chief. You know, sometimes folks get sensitive when they get checked, but I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah.
You check me as a citizen, Theo, you'll call me up, say, Ricardo, what's up with this? And that's your role to check me. A Mother Bernice will call me and check me. I don't have a problem with being checked. That's the role. I'm not enemies with anybody. I'm friends with them. But at the same time, check and balances must go forth.
That's right. And you know, I have an issue. I attend the police commission meetings that take place in the community because there are more of the taxpayers in attendance there. And I understand that you meet every Thursday, unless it's Thanksgiving Thursday or some
Or
other.
the second Thursday of the month. The second Thursday of the month, we're in the community, just like July 14th. We're going to meet at 6:30 p.m. July 14th at 6:30 p.m. We'll be at St. Stephen's AME Church,
Right.
which is on John E. Hunter. I believe that's 6,000.
Yeah, 6,000 Johnny Hunter.
Right.
Now, when I attended the most recent community meeting, there was an election that went on, and the commission, tell us first, how many members and elected and appointed are actually on the police commission for me?
Yes, ma'am. According to the Detroit City Charter, there are 7 elected police commissioners by the people and 4 appointed by the mayor. We had an interesting situation in District 2 because Wendell Bird was an elected police commissioner. However, he ran for state rep and it vacated the seat. Yeah, so that allowed the mayor to appoint someone, and the mayor appointed Bishop Edgar Van the second to that position. So currently, I guess you can say we have 6 elected, 5 appointed in a sense. That's the makeup of the board, 6 and 5.
Now we got Winans, who's a preacher, and
He's
we
not
got
on. He's not on the board.
Is that okay?
No,
So we have Conrad Mallett,
Right.
who was over the hospital. Is he still there?
I believe he's still at the Detroit Medical Center.
Okay.
Betty Brooks is an appointee.
What does she do?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Eva Garza DeWalsh.
Mm-hmm.
She's a former Board of Police Commissioners member.
Okay.
And we have Derek Sanders, which is a big union man.
Okay.
He's big and heavy union activist.
And then Van,
And then Van.
who was a preacher. Okay.
And then for the elected, I don't want to be remiss in my duties and mention Richard Shelby represents District 1. Reggie Crawford represents District 3. Willie Bell, the incoming chairman, represents District 4. Willie Burton represents District 5. Our current chair is Lisa Carter, and she represents District 6. Come July 1, I'll be the vice chair of the Board of Police Commissioners, and I represent District 7.
All right. Now, the issue that I had at the last meeting was the complaint of the appointees.
Okay.
And one of the appointees was saying, well, we have some good leadership, and we should rotate the chair and vice chair around. Well, my concern is appointed members of the police commission. And I do not believe, I had already spoken, so I couldn't speak to this on that day, but I do not believe that appointees should be in the leadership position on the police commission. Now, that's how I feel about it.
Well, the issue that I had, Theo, was one of the appointees tried to muddy the waters and say, oh, the citizens need to be involved in this process. Well, the citizens have been involved because they elected us. They elected the mayor, and the mayor in turn appointed the commissioners that he deemed fit. We followed the bylaws. There were some issues last year as it related to the election. We changed the bylaws. Everybody liked it. They were approved back in March. Everything's fine. Then all of a sudden, the day of election, when the appointees approved the agenda, I
Yes.
second the motion.
Yes.
And then that appointee had an issue.
And it was on the agenda.
And it was on the agenda.
Apparently, he did not read the agenda,
Right.
nor did he read his emails,
That's right.
nor did he remember approving the bylaws.
But,
So,
I mean, again, very competent
Okay.
folks. So, I mean, I like them all. I don't dislike anyone. But again, that's the matter of democracy. You win some, you lose some.
yeah,
The election came down between Conrad Mallett and Willie Bell won.
right, right. We're going to take a break for the clip to be played, and we'll be back momentarily.
It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard, you liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out, and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
You can see something on the internet, yes.
Oh, okay. And we are live, back with you right here at WHPR Broadcasting Company. You are tuned into Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have with us as our guest Ricardo Moore, a Detroit Police Commissioner. And I'm so happy that he has had an opportunity to come in to share with you what the Police Commission is about, to let you know that the police commissioners have had all of their powers returned. There are some people who don't believe all of the powers were returned. So he is here to correct that and to confirm that. Now, you had a question to ask.
Okay, yes. I wanted to ask for our general viewing audience, what type of issues might they approach the police commission with, and what things might they not know that the police commission can serve them with?
The primary role of the Detroit Board of Police Commissioners, where we take complaints against police officers, complaints of a non-criminal nature. If it's a criminal nature, then that's internal affairs. However, you can give that complaint to us, and you can file that complaint at 313-596-1830, 313-596-1830. That's the primary role of the Board of Police Commissioners, in addition to serving as a check and balance to the police department. Something that citizens might not know that the board engages in, we attend meetings. We attend community meetings. Every month, Theo, you probably know, I send out an email where I'm educating citizens on various topics about policing and city government or whatnot. That's a role that the police commission is not primarily responsible for. However, it's a role that I see where we need to educate the citizens. And I just want to give out my personal number again, because I understand that I was talking low previously. So my personal number, 313-215-0398, 313-215-0398.
Okay. Now, you say you take personal complaints from members of the community. Now, your connection with the the department that Akbar was in. Has he retired?
Office of Chief Investigator.
Yes. Now,
That's
what is
the
connection?
they're the ones who investigate the complaints. According to the Department of Justice, the DPD has 90 days to investigate these complaints. That was laid out in the mandates from the Department Consent Decree. So from the time a citizen calls or emails the Chief Investigator's office, they have 90 days to complete that investigation. From that point, you should receive a letter of some sort saying what the outcome is. And that's why it's so important for us to get these body cameras, because a lot of times it's the officer's word versus the citizen's word. And without a clear-cut witness such as that body cam, it's he say, she say.
Right. Well, when I attended the most recent community meeting by the Detroit Police Commissioners, I brought that up.
Right.
And the assistant chief was saying they have an issue now about the computers talking to the radio cams. It's just crazy reasons why they are stalling, because it was last year that the experiment in 48205 was carried out and reported to have been successful.
Right.
So I'm annoyed that they're dragging their behinds about installing these cameras. I was very appreciative of the information as you shared in the meeting. However, the gentleman, Dr. Terrence Dillard, who was on the line when we began the show,
Right.
is the expert that I was telling you about.
Okay.
And any aspect of a computer he is able to handle, including the body cameras. So if they are having a computer issue, as the assistant chief said, I have some issues believing that, but if that's true, then they should be interested in someone who can solve the problem.
That's true.
So I don't know what way we can
Callers.
get them to move on it, but I will continue to press the issue. We have two callers. Okay.
Yes. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name? How are you viewing us? What city, please?
This is Kwame, and I'm in Detroit. I just want to know what powers were taken in return.
The powers to approve the budget, the powers as it relates to making the police department do an annual report, promotion powers, restructuring powers. Those were the powers that were taken from the Board of Police Commissioners and have since been restored.
And you were talking about an issue having to do with the charter. You were saying it seems like nobody wants to use a charter.
Yeah, in general, it just seems like people will violate the city charter and do what they want to do as opposed to honoring the letter of the law, which the citizens approved in the 2012 charter. And that's why we do have a check and balance of Board of Police Commissioners, so that we can hold folks accountable on our end. But to even go back to emergency management to violate the city charter is against the citizens of Detroit and the citizens of the state of Michigan, frankly.
And they've been ignoring the state constitution too, Kwame.
Yeah, rules are here to protect us
That's right.
and to work for us. But if you're
Right.
not going to use rules, what do you need them for? I mean, all you're doing is confusing people.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad you see that, Kwame, because you are telling the truth, sir.
And we have to be careful about who we elect in office to carry out the rules of the Constitution of the state and the Charter of the City of Detroit. You have any other question?
Oh, no, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thanks for calling. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you give us your name? How are you viewing us? What city, please?
Good morning. This is Dee Dee.
Yes.
I'm viewing you on my cell phone.
Thanks for
How you
calling.
doing?
Wonderful.
Great.
Thanks for calling. Our guest with us this morning is Ricardo Moore, Detroit Police Commissioner, 7th District.
You are coming in Northwest Detroit, Theo, on Comcast Cable.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay. I'd like to ask your guest, does the police commissioner have anything to do with the way the prosecutor handles the forfeiture cases?
No, we don't have anything to do with the prosecutor's office whatsoever.
And she's county.
Right.
He's Detroit Police. You know? The prosecutor is Wayne County prosecutor. He is a Detroit Police Commissioner. So there's a separation.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling.
Bye-bye.
Now, I
Bye-bye.
wonder, she said the Northwest is coming in on Comcast. What about the rest of the city?
Let's get some East Side callers to call in.
Yeah. Yeah, call in and let us know if Comcast is on the east side.
I'm just curious, since you're elected by the public, like you say, 7 by the public and then 4 appointed by the mayor. So now, do you have to be an ex-police officer to be a commissioner, or that has nothing to do with it?
That's a great question. No, you don't have to be a former police officer. It just so happened that the police department had activist
Weird.
police officers who lived in the city of Detroit, who cared, who knew that this was the first time they ever elected police commissioners, and we just decided we would do it. And it just so happens 5 former police types entered on the police commission, which means that we kind of understand the lingo. We understand. One of the 5 is a lieutenant from the Wayne County Sheriff's, which is Lisa Carter. She's a former retired lieutenant with Wayne County. So
the
no,
Sheriff's Department.
any citizen, next year's that election, I'll tell anybody from District 1 through 7, study that policy and procedures for the Detroit Police Department, study that manual, and become a police commissioner. It's going to be on the ballot next August of 2017. Go down to the city clerk's office, get your signatures. I believe it's a 300 signature minimum, 600 max. And by all means, get involved. Now, if you just want to rubber stamp something and you don't believe in providing checks and balances, well, maybe you should do it. But if you have some true concerns and you want to support the police department when they need supporting through the city charter, then I suggest you do it.
Is there any backlash that comes from that? I know that you mentioned Reggie Crawford yourself, and I believe it was Willie or William
Willie Bell.
Willie Bell, and how you want everything to be on the up and up, and therefore, dealing with the checks and balances. But is there any backlash that you gentlemen have to deal with, ladies and gentlemen, basically have to deal with in terms of some of the things, if you act in the capacity of checks and balances, and they feel like, as you say, that you may be anti-police? Is there any backlash that you all receive?
Not really.
Okay,
And the reason why I
great.
say not really is because I believe that God created every man to have a battle to fight and a venture to live and a woman to win. So therefore, as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, it shouldn't be a problem, because whatever I say should be able to be checked publicly. Whatever I say, I'm held accountable for. So, people have their opinions, I'm sure, but hey, keep your opinions to yourself.
Okay, wait. Can you,
Now, that's probably the most radical you're going to hear me get, Theo, because I'm very quiet.
I
So.
know this. But give us that quotation again. I like that.
Okay, God created every man to have a battle to fight and a venture to live and a woman to win.
All right.
That's
I
what
like
makes
that.
a man.
I'm gonna have to borrow that.
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead. I took it from, I went to a TD Jakes conference in 2002 and I heard it then and haven't forgotten it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. And one of the things I guess I was thinking about when I asked you about the backlash and that kind of thing is that, and I'll use Donald Trump as an example. He's, let's say, eliminated certain media from his whole convention quest, and somebody made this comment, and it just kind of stuck with me. So I'm gonna bring it down to this level. But they said that he doesn't mind the praise he gets from media. He just doesn't like the scrutiny. So he likes the publicity. So I asked that same question when I did, because of the same thing. If you bring up something that challenges something that seems to be status quo, the fact that they're being scrutinized, would that make them? But again, you answered the question by saying that they don't really,
Right.
even though they're under scrutiny.
Right. I mean, and the thing about it is maturity. Everybody understands they have a boss. I did an editorial in one of the locals. Everybody has a boss. I have 700,000. They're called the citizens of Detroit. So if you don't like what I'm saying or something like that, I just gave out my phone number, my personal cell number. I have no problem with anybody calling me to say, hey, Ricardo, I suggest this. You need to do that. Because the same way we check the chief and his staff, the same way the citizens check us. And that's just the way it is. I'm not disliking folks because, he or she said something I didn't like. I'm not getting sensitive with the citizens because those are my bosses. The people are my bosses. And that's the way elected officials have to start carrying themselves, because the power is with the vote.
Right. Now, recently, we heard that the mayor of the city of Detroit, Mike Duggan, plans to appoint James Craig, the chief of police, as the deputy mayor.
Well, I think
Is there anything in the police commission policy that speaks to that?
no, and it's not an appointment. I think the mayor kind of said that in his absence, he would want the police chief to serve there. For whatever reason, but it's not. I haven't seen anything, and unless someone can bring it to my attention, which means that that's illegal or unethical or immoral. The police chief does have a big job with the police department,
Yeah.
and you would think that someone more global who has an understanding of transportation, because if we had to evacuate a senior citizen building, I want someone who probably understands senior citizen issues. Transportation, who can get DDOT to that senior citizen building. Not saying that the chief can't do it, but you have people in place already. You have Alexis Wiley, you have Larry Meyer, you have Hilton Kincaid.
Yeah.
We have a global view of the Detroit Police Department, and the
Right.
chief has a lot of responsibility with DPD. So, but that's the mayor's pick. The mayor can choose who he wants.
Yeah, unfortunately. What happened to our deputy mayor?
He retired. He said he wanted to go back into education. He's a PhD. I believe he wants to write another book and get back into the classroom. That's what I was told.
Okay. So currently there is no deputy mayor.
Correct. Well, I think it is a deputy mayor. As a matter of fact,
I
it's two
thought,
deputy
but
mayors. Then McKinnon
What do I
retired,
know?
and there was a lady. I can't think of her name. But
Moved up. Or
Right,
Should
well,
have.
it was like two deputy mayors, and the city charter only called for one. So that was an issue. I can't think of the lady's name, but it is a deputy mayor, but not in that capacity that McKenna served.
One of the things I'm curious about when you said you gave your personal number. Now you're in District 7, but I guess like with City Council, and I don't know if we can relate the two the same way, where a person who's in a certain district will call that particular council person of their district, whereas prior to the district setup, they were able to call down to City Hall and talk to anyone. So now in regard to police commissioners, I imagine the citizens of whatever particular district have to or should call their particular commissioner, or it doesn't matter in this case. That's
doesn't
what
matter.
I want to understand.
With policing, it's kind of like a cookie cutter. What's good for District 7 is good for District 4, District 2, District 6. So if anybody has a question about the Detroit Police Department, if anybody wants to file a complaint, they can contact me and I can answer that question. The more commissioners you have, cards and names available, the better.
Great.
It'd be nice if council felt like that. But
Yeah,
sometimes
I'm not into the
else,
power
I say,
grab.
yeah.
If someone wants to help one of my citizens, I just want to make sure my citizens are served. I take city council complaints. I take Department of Neighborhood complaints. Because I do give out my phone number and people want help. They're not calling because they just, I want to talk to the commissioner. Well, a couple people, they just want to talk. But for the most part, people have serious issues and concerns. What's going on? I'm not a water department guy, but people will call me about water. They'll call me about recreation. They'll call me about anything, and that's okay. You can call me about anything because I'm going to direct that to the particular area, and that's what service is about.
Yeah. I mean, even Hood Research gets calls
Yeah.
on city issues. One, the most recent one is about a tree that is on city property between the sidewalk and the curb. And the limb fell on the gentleman's Hummer. Yeah. And so he's being told that the neighbor is responsible, but the neighbor's not responsible for city-owned trees.
Right.
So-
Now, has he contacted the city ombudsman's office?
I recommended that he
Okay.
do that. I need to
Okay.
get back with him and find out if he got a response from the ombudsman. Oh, okay.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name? How are you viewing us? What city, please?
Oh, well, my name is Bill Davis. I'm calling from Northwest Detroit, District 7.
Thank
I'd
you
like
for
to say good
calling.
morning to all three of y'all. And also, I would like to ask the commissioner, what is your opinion about the chief of police being named deputy mayor? I personally think that's like a conflict, and I think it should be total civilian oversight over the chief of police, and that's a conflict. What's your opinion?
Well, I'll sum it up as I did earlier when I answered Theo's question. The mayor can pretty much appoint who he wants. However, I do believe that the chief is very busy with the Detroit Police Department on any given day, and you do have people with more of a global look or macro view of the city of Detroit. Usually, police That's what the police know. I don't know about the chief and his mobilization skills. Maybe he does have the mobilization skills. I haven't sat down to talk to him about it, but I just believe I called off 3 names: Alexis Wiley, you have Larry Meyer, and Hilton Kincaid, which have a global look of the city in case the mayor's gone in the view of an emergency. Now, I give you the worst case scenario, but you also want that person to stand in to do speeches and things of that nature in the mayor's stead. But again, that's the mayor's pick. The mayor can pick who he wants.
Are you
Thank
watching us on Comcast cable?
Yes, I'm watching on Comcast 91.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for calling. Now, one of the things I'm curious about, and this is like taking a slight turn, but you were saying that you also deal with special needs children. Could you give us just kind of like an overview of what it is and how you feel about it? Because I like the whole idea.
What I've learned that students with special needs are sometimes ignored by the system. They don't get the necessary resources delivered to them on the front line. The money is budgeted, but they don't necessarily get all the true services. And also, a lot of people just don't understand special needs. They don't understand autism. They don't have the patience to deal with students with autism. So my role is of an assistant teacher. So I'm helping them with their classwork. I'm escorting them to class. I'm providing safety for them where they don't have boundaries for themselves. And it's a very humbling experience. And it has taught me patience, because there was a time in my life where I didn't have a lot of patience, but it has taught me patience because you need it with that population.
Very admirable. Got a couple of callers also.
Okay.
Hello, caller.
Your
You're on
name,
the air.
phone number, and best contact time. One of our agents will get back to you at your...
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name? How are you viewing us? What city, please?
Good morning. This is Mike from Roseville.
Thank you for calling.
I was wondering if Mr. Kincaid, what is his position with the DPD?
Well, Mr. Kincaid is not with the DPD. He's former DPD. However, he's the Deputy Director of Homeland Security. Larry Meyer, he's the Deputy Director. Larry Meyer is the Director of Homeland Security, and Alexis Wiley is the Chief of Staff for the City of Detroit. And it would just be my purview, if I was the mayor, to appoint one of those 3 as Deputy Mayor, because they have more of a global look and they're working with various departments already as it relates to Homeland Security and emergency management.
Yeah, I knew he was head of the Homeland Security, but I didn't know he was still with DPD. I was wondering how he could do both positions.
No, he's not with DPD anymore. He's strictly Homeland Security. He was appointed approximately a year ago. And matter of fact, Theo, he was the one that had the early warning system that Mr. Waller from Barton McFarland was talking about. Hilton Kincaid spearheaded that off of Mr. Waller's complaint to make it happen citywide.
Oh, okay.
Any other question, caller?
No, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay, and
Thank
thanks
you
for
for calling.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you? Here we go. Here, caller. Would you give us your name? How are you viewing us, and what city, please?
This is Tyrone. Internet. I just want to follow up on that call that asked, is it a conflict to have military person over the city rather than having civilian over the military to hold down the gun? And to talk about a global, it didn't answer that question. Do you believe, like the Constitution of the United States is, the president and the civilians should be over the ones who's got that gun? Because the one that got that gun, if he's over the whole government, then we're under police state. Did you understand that to your guess?
What I meant by the comment, sir, is that as it relates to the police commissioner having former law enforcement, we're very community-based law enforcement officers who managed to get elected to the Board of Police Commissioners. As I've related it to the Homeland Security and the Deputy Mayor position, they are civilians. We're all civilians in this position, and there's not anyone that's actively engaged in any military or global plan as far as I can see.
So you see the police chief as a civilian?
I do, yes.
Okay, I disagree. Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks.
Yeah, there's no more callers.
Oh, okay. The meeting, I want people to know about the second Thursday of the month, and the next meeting is July what?
July
Where?
14th
Mhm.
at 6:30 p.m. at 6000 John E. Hunter Street. That's near the old Tabernacle, I believe.
Okay.
6:30 p.m. and that's the Board of Police Commissioners. And Theo, so quite honestly, what will happen is that a lot of citizens will complain, but they won't file a complaint. We need those complaints to come through so we can start tracking officers better.
So they need to file a written complaint.
That's
they
correct.
can do it that evening, or
Yes, ma'am.
what other way can they file their complaint?
They can file it via email, which I have my email address. If you can forward it to me, I can forward it to the Office of the Chief Investigator Director, which is Pamela Davis Drake.
Okay.
My email address is Ricardo, RICARDO, Roger, ROD as in Detroit, GER, Moore, MOORE, at yahoo.com. So if you have a complaint you want to email me, I can forward it to the Office of the Chief Investigator. And again, they have 90 days to investigate.
I have we have a caller, but I got a quick question. I'm wondering, in terms of, well, we'll go to the caller first, and then I'll just follow up on that. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Would you share your name? How are you viewing us? What city, please? Hello, caller. Okay, I guess I get my question in.
Yeah.
I noticed you said that you wanted people to be able to file complaints. Now, one of the things I'm thinking about, which I think is very important in any aspect when you're dealing with people who deal with the public, is having a paper trail. I often say that when people are voting, to look at what are the credentials of this person prior to seeking whatever the office is, state senator, rep, council person. So now when you say that, I'm looking at it in the same light that if, let's say, there are certain improprieties that are done by a certain officer, as you build a paper trail on them, then how does that work in terms of, let's just say, Thabiti has had 8 complaints as a police officer. What happens after that?
What happens is each complaint that an officer receives goes into a computerized system called the Mass Center. And therefore, it's tracked to see, okay, do we need to pull this officer off the street? Do we need to counsel him? But a lot of times, and it's been my studies and belief that for every 1 complaint that's filed, there are 26 that are not filed. So a lot of times people just have the habit of continuously, quote unquote, violating citizens, and the citizen never files the complaint. However, they internalize it, they tell their friends, they tell their family, which causes some people to dislike the police because of bad policing.
But tell me this, inside the jails, that I need to understand that process. Do they have an intention to put body cameras on them? There was someone recently related to Lamar Lemon, whom they said hanged himself in the jail, and Lamar said he had just spoken with him a few days before, and the young man told him that he was going to be murdered in the jail. So
That sounds like an internal affairs case in which Sheriff Benny Napoleon, I'm sure, is well aware of that. But if he knew he was going to be murdered, I'm sure internal affairs or their criminal investigators inside the sheriff's department will handle that. But as far as body cameras, I'm not really sure if the sheriff's office, as far as the inside the jail, inside the lockup, they would have them.
No.
Last minute.
Okay. The police are in. There's a difference between what the city jail and the county jail.
Well, it's only one jail, and
One
that's the
jail?
county. The county
Oh,
runs
okay.
the jail, and that's led by Sheriff Benny Napoleon.
So
He
if
runs
it-
the jail. The city of Detroit has what's called lockups, and we send our prisoners to what's called the Detroit Detention Center, which is on the east side on Mound Road.
I see. I see. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we're down to our last minute, and I'm hoping that in the future you may have some time to come and spend with us, because the members of our community need to know that we have police commissioners who are concerned about our welfare, and we'll take time to talk to you. And our guest this morning is Ricardo Moore. He has given out his personal cell and his personal email so that you can contact him. I often say it's not necessary for you to know everything. What is necessary is for you to know how to find what you need when you need it. We encourage you to join Hood Research. We know that we gather as much information as we can to help us all make better informed decisions. And the phone number for Hood Research is 248-234-2371. 248-234-2371. And for those of you who want to help sponsor the program, you can send your check or money order to Hood Research at P.O. Box 4416. That's P.O. Box 4416, Detroit, Michigan 48204. If you prefer, you can make your check or money order out to WHPR Broadcasting Company. We don't have any objection to that at all. We just want it mailed to us so that we can make sure that it gets posted to this program.
If you want to be nothing, do nothing. But the only problem with doing nothing is you never know when you're finished.
That's deep.
we thank you, Ricardo Moore, Detroit Police Commissioner, for joining us
Thanks
this
for having
morning.
me. I appreciate it.
All righty.